Would you like a different perspective about depression? In this episode, we are going to be discovering the general sources of depression and practical solutions to open up your possibility for greater well-being in your life. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and bell to notify you every Tuesday when I post a new video about leading transformation and life-changing strategies in mental health to help you create greater freedom in your life. The pattern identifiers for depression I'm going to share with you in this episode have helped clients to quickly pinpoint and know for themselves what's behind their depression. What's interesting about these sources of depression is that every time I share them with clients, they can recognize what that source is for them, and they know what path they need to take to resolve their depression and feel more positive. So let's take a look at them. I want to let you know that I share with you in your struggle with depression. I remember the first time I felt it. I was in junior high, and I felt I couldn't talk about it and was deeply sad. What was happening in my home was abuse, and one of my teachers noticed it and talked to my dad. And luckily, I didn't get in trouble. And what resulted from this conversation is that I got into sports, and I learned to play tennis. So playing sports helped me get through high school and junior high, and it kept the depression at bay and a way to deal with it. And recently, 2 years ago, I got out of an episode that lasted 2 years. And I was deeply sad, felt hopeless, and no sense of possibility. And as I got out of it, I began to realize where I was judging myself, making myself wrong, and to set my mind to focus on something that moved me in a more growth-oriented direction. So the exception to the sources of depression, one of them is trauma, and the other one is physiological causes, and I will not cover these exceptions in this episode. It will be more beneficial for you to speak to a professional about your concerns and assess you for the best course of treatment, strategies, or action plan. I'd like you to consider this possibility. What if depression isn't that something is wrong with you? What if it was your signal to correct the course or direction you are taking? It's kind of like when we're driving and we get a red light come on our dashboard, maybe at the engine, check light engine that comes on, or the tire light is telling us that the pressure is too low. The dashboard gives us a signal we need to check further into what's going on with our car under the hood. It's similar with depression or anxiety. And the patterns I observe that present themselves with depression include the mind, body, spirit, and emotion. However, the way they show up in life and it has a different language. The first one is purpose. What I'm talking about is a sense of purpose. Individuals want to feel useful and help others in their own way. When we don't feel you have a sense of purpose about your life, you don't want to be here. You may be feeling your sense of purpose is not clear, you don't know what it is, or you have some questions about it. Here are some questions you can ask or think about to help you discover it. And you might want to stop this video and write them down. And if you stay till the end of the video, I'm going to share with you a couple of strategies you can discover your answers more quickly and have some fun doing it. Question 1. What comes easy to you that you don't think you can make any money at? Second question, what gets you in your flow zone? And the third question is, what skills do you think that you're not good at all? The second source of depression is relationship. Usually what comes up around this is that you may want a relationship or you are not in a relationship and you want to get it in one or out of one. So there's conflict in a relationship and you don't know how to resolve it. And maybe you're staying in a relationship when really you don't want to and you don't want to hurt anyone. Questions you can ask around relationships include, how do you want to be loved? Second one, what are your non-negotiable? And third one is, what keeps me from having the relationship I desire? If these questions are making your wheel turn and getting you thinking, hit that like button. All right, the third source of depression is your mind. So what is your mind default? I like telling the story of the good and the bad dog. When I started sharing this story, I was sharing it for another purpose, and I began to notice a pattern start to emerge. And the pattern was a person's mindset default. And the story goes like this. There's a good dog and a bad dog, and you see them one day as you're going to work, and you see them fighting. So which one is the one that's going to win? And this isn't a trick question. The moral of the story is the one that wins is the one that you feed. When I get to this point, people would get quiet, and I began to notice they were recognizing what they were doing. I would get responses like, the bad dog is going to win. And this response made me aware that they had a negative mindset. And when I acknowledged it to my client, it would confirm for them what they had just realized internally. To humor you a little bit, another response I would get is that the big dog would win, and that wasn't even part of the question. So what they were doing was making a mountain out of a molehill, and so I now call that the mountain out of a molehill mindset. So you were spot on if you guessed that, okay? So there is more, however, for the sake of time, I'm going to stop here, okay? So the fourth source of depression, your body. How do you feel about your body? So at the time of this recording, I weighed myself at my sister's house and find out I am a little bit overweight. So what got me on the scale was I laid down on my bed for a moment, and for some reason, and I closed my eyes, and I got the awareness that I felt the extra weight I have was making me tired, and I became aware I wasn't happy. So here's some questions you can ask around your body. The first question is, what kind of body do I want to have? The second one, do I treat my body as my friend? And the third one is, do I support my body? The next source of depression is grief. Life and death are part of the cycle of life. And in no time like death of the ones that we love, does our own mortality and life come into question, and the deep loss that we feel. There is no right or wrong way to grieve, and there is no time limit. And I sense that when someone dies, they leave you a gift, and that gift is revealed when you are complete with the grieving process. And I invite you to allow it to just be there with you, okay? And questions you can ask around you are, what is important to me in my life? Second one, how do I honor this person in my life? And the last question is, how is the universe showing me how my life is a gift? The sixth source of depression is your life experiences. We know and feel when we're not creating the life we would like to have. And questions you can ask around that include, what do I want to include in my life? And this can be physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, social areas in your life. Second question is, what kind of experiences do I want to have in my life? And the last source of depression is the lack of growth. And growth can be in several areas, such as skills, knowledge, values. And usually, when we feel stuck, we're not growing. And unfortunately, what is happening is that many people are in a survival mode, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically. And growing is considered a luxury right now. And questions you can ask about your growth include, how do I want to grow? And what do I want to learn? And who do I want to become? I'm really glad you hung around to this point. Here's a fun and quick technique to find out some of the responses for you. Now take a piece of paper like an 8.5 by 11 and turn it horizontally like the landscape format, and make a few columns on each column on the top. Write each of the areas that you want to work on. Okay, that could be purpose, it can be relationship, it can be growth, okay, experiences, and put those on the top of the column. Now review some of the questions to get the ideas flowing. And now get your iPhone or Android and set the timer for 2 minutes. Start with the first column or the one you want to start with, okay, it doesn't matter, and set that timer and write your responses for that one section within those 2 minutes. And then go to the next section until you are done. And this exercise isn't about the right answer. And I would write down the one that pops right in your head. Trust that and write it down, because no one is going to check your work, and it's just you and your consciousness. To wrap up the exercise, did you notice any patterns come up? What did you learn about yourself? And at the bottom of the page, what I'd like for you to do is write 1 or 2 action items you can take to begin to move you in the direction that you want to go in. Let me know in the comments section one of your action items so I can support you. You now have the general sources of depression and practical tools and solutions to begin to move you forward. Let's review what we just covered. We learned the 7 general sources of depression, and those include your purpose, relationship, your mind, body, grief, growth, and experiences. What if depression isn't that something is wrong with you? What if it is your signal to correct the course or direction that you're taking? Let's course correct your direction and move towards what gives you more freedom. I've created my Resilience Membership Vault 3-month coaching program where I help you course correct your direction for greater freedom by adjusting the pattern of depression or anxiety in your life. Click on the link below for more information about my program. Check out these videos next on how to up your emotional toolkit skills. If you like this topic, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And I'll see you in the next episode.